So, yesterday, Donald Trump strutted out to announce his shiny new reciprocal tariffs, waving a chart like it was the Magna Carta of trade. The numbers? All over the place. 34% for China, 20% for the EU, 46% for Vietnam, 26% for India, like he'd spun a roulette wheel and called it policy. Also, on that chart, it says what the other countries were charging the US in tariffs. These are the rates that the US would compare against when choosing their reciprocal tariffs. And shocker, the numbers had no basis to actual tariff policy from those countries. So the whiz kids on Twitter, those calculating, wielding sleuths, cracked the code on how the US cooked up their alleged tariff rates. And it's less economic genius and more back of a napkin scribble. Here's the scoop. They're taking trade surpluses and dividing them by exports to the US, then slapping a percentage sign on it. The EU does $236 billion in surplus to the US on $606 billion in exports. Divide those two numbers, bam, 39% tariffs charged. Indonesia, $18 billion surplus to the US, divided by $28 billion in exports to the US, 64%. India, $46 billion over $87 billion works out to 52%. I think you get the point. That's right, folks. They're pretending a country's trade surplus is the same as a tariff rate, as if Vietnam's secretly taxing the US 90% on every spring roll. Newsflash, surpluses aren't tariffs. They're just what happens when one country buys more stuff from another country than they do. This is absurd. It's like calculating your rent by dividing your grocery bill by your shoe size. It's not just bad math, it's a fever dream of economic logic. The tariffs charged to the USA column looks like it was made up because it was a Frankenstein of numbers stitched together to justify a policy that's less America first and more America confused. Meanwhile, Americans can prepare for the inevitable price hikes on everything from avocados to iPhones.